Good afternoon to the Executive Committee of CIGFARO, the CFO Foundation, and SALGA, ladies and gentlemen, and our special guest for today, our future leaders. I know I'm standing between you and your lunch and your home time, so I'll try to be very fast. My presentation, as the program director has indicated, it applies to everyone, not only government. The first man on earth to implement risk management was Noah. So if you all know Noah's story from the Bible, then you'll be able to follow what we are referring to when we are referring to risk management. The legislation framework, I won't go into details for the interest of time. You can read it. But for the provincial departments, it's PFMA Section 38 that gives the role to the HOD in terms of risk management. And for local government, it's MFMA, which gives the role for the MM in terms of risk management. Treasury regulation, they outline how we should do our risk assessment workshops. Public sector risk management framework, this is the framework we use in public sector, both local government and department, to develop our risk management policies, strategies, and risk implementation plan. COSO and ISO, these are the international standards that are used in terms of risk management, and the public sector risk management framework is developed using COSO and ISO. Our presentation will follow the ISO framework. CIGFARO report on good corporate governance, it outlines the role of the council in terms of local government, in terms of the provincial departments, the MEC. Risk, by definition, it's an uncertainty of an event occurring that could have a negative or a positive impact on objectives. I will not explain this anymore. I think when it comes to the positive, everyone has been saying in terms of COVID-19, that's when we started to explore opportunities, even though we saw it as a threat, it had a negative impact, but there were also opportunities that were derived from it. Risk management. Risk management is a continuous, proactive, systematic process affected by the accounting authority, which is the council or MEC, the accounting officer, MM or HOD, management, and other officials in the department. It is an integral part of our day-to-day activity. So everyone in the organization has a role to play. Even the interns have a role to play in terms of risk management. So we don't manage the risk so that we can have no risk, but we manage the risk so that we can know which risk we must prioritize in order for us to achieve the objectives, considering the financial constraints and the human capability constraints. Here, to begin with the risk management, if you want to implement risk management effectively, it starts with a strategy. That's where you identify as the department or the municipality that this is where I want to go in terms of the vision and mission, and then you've got the objectives. So now you have your objectives, you have to identify now what is it that could go wrong? What is it that could be a threat towards your objectives? So after you have identified what you want to do, now you must identify what is it that could go wrong. Remember that some of the things that you would identify will be financial in nature, and therefore you have to implement the budget. So that is why we always say these go together: strategy, risk, and budget. I've indicated that we will be using the ISO framework. So this is the risk management process. The first step is to understand. If you don't understand why you were employed in a municipality, why are you there, then you won't be able to identify your risk. Once you understand your objectives and then the environment that you are working for, you need now to identify what is it that could go wrong, the risk event. You have to know what is it you want to come to this conference. It starts at 9. So what your objective is to be here on time. So now you must identify a risk event, that what is it that can make you not be here at 9 o'clock. Then now after that, you have to identify your root causes. What could cause this risk to materialize? And then once now you know what is it that can cause, the traffic, the accident on the road, then now you must look at the consequences. If I'm not here at 9 o'clock, what will happen to me? Then you must then now you will have your full risk identification process. Then after that, you have to measure the risk in terms of likelihood and the impact. So when you're looking at the likelihood, you look at it using the root cause that, okay, this could cause me not to arrive on time, but what is the likelihood of this occurring? And then the impact, you look at it using the consequences. Then if this risk materialize, this is the consequence it will have on the objectives. Then you will have what is called the inherent risk rating. What is the inherent risk rating? It is the risk before taking into consideration the internal controls. Then now you identify which internal controls do you have in place that you are working with. Then once you identify those internal controls, you then have to rate those internal controls. Then you have what is called the residual risk rating. The residual risk rating is the risk that is remaining after taking into consideration the internal controls that you have. So we've got 5 risk responses, which is, I will start with the first one, which is popular for the colleagues that have attended the risk assessment workshop, that is treating the risk. How do you treat the risk? You put more internal controls rather than the ones that you've identified, and you've said that you've got these internal controls. You see then, even though I've got these internal controls, but I am still not achieving what I want to achieve, then what else can I do to ensure that I am able to be within the tolerance levels? And then you put more actions to improve. And after that, you transfer the risk. You transfer the risk to a third party, your insurance company, where you'll say that we are not going to manage this risk internally, we rather transfer it to the third party. And then the third one is to terminate the risk. In government, you hardly see that risk response, but in some instances, I've got few examples where I can be able to outline. You know, previously, the issue of early childhood development was sitting with Department of Social Development. But the resolution that was taken now that that function is going back to Department of Education because they are the ones that are dealing with the issue of quality teaching and learning. So now, previously, you would see that the risk of ECD is sitting with social development. But now, after the decision, that risk will no longer be there because social development does not have an objective towards ECD. So now the risk is with Department of Education. The same with local government. I will make an example with one municipality that I've worked for that was in the Krizani in the Eastern Cape. Previously, the local municipalities were water services provider and they were providing their own water, but there was a decision that now this should be centralized to the district. So now, the local municipality no longer have a risk that relates to water services, but the district now has the risk that is relating to the issue of providing water. Then the fourth one is to tolerate the risk. That one, we tolerate the risk in 3 ways. Firstly, you remember that I said you put more internal controls to mitigate the risk. If now you see that the internal controls that you've developed are now within the tolerance levels, which is now the organization can bear this risk. So now you will say, fine, we tolerate the risk. And the second one, that is where we use the cost versus benefit analysis. At times, we note that we've got value of assets which are worth 50,000, and then but the cost to safeguard these assets is actually 60,000. So you might as well live with this risk and say, no, I will tolerate this risk. I cannot pay more to safeguard than what I'm going to actually benefit. And the third one, we commonly see it now that there's this fiscal challenges, that now there'll be areas that we know that they are high risk areas and they are frustrating us, but you know that there is no budget. So we might as well just say, for now, we are tolerating this risk up until the municipality is able to recover in terms of its revenue. Remember that you do not remove a risk. The commonly asked question is that when do you remove a risk? You do not remove a risk from your risk register, but you tolerate the risk because if an event once occurred, even if you've managed to manage it, but it might happen again because it is an uncertainty of an event occurring. Then the fifth one is exploring the risk. That one relates to the opportunity. When the opportunity was identified, then we explore the opportunity. And then once now we have dealt with the risk treatments, we communicate the results, and now we report the results of the risk assessments. Here I am going to indicate the way we report issues of risk management. The first step is the risk management committee, this is just an operational committee that has members, in terms of local government, preferable its managers that will be the members of the risk management committee because it should be someone who's working very close to a director and someone that is able to take decisions on behalf of the risk management, on behalf of the director. In terms of the provincial departments, it's the directors because they work very closely as well with the DDGs, so they'll be able to take the decisions. So once now that information is reported in the risk management committee and in the risk champion meeting, you are able now to identify where there were the gaps and you are agreeing. The most important thing about the risk champion meeting is that it now emanates the risk of having disputes during the risk management committee meetings, because we are all in the same page. The manager is owning this, and the risk management unit is also happy with what is being reported. Secondly, management committee, the MENCOs, it's important to present the risk management report as well to the MENCOs so that the directors are aware of what they are going to be discussing in the risk management committee and they don't get any surprises. And then the third one is the risk management committee. In local government, I know most municipalities now have independent chairpersons, people that are not employed within the municipality who have a risk management background, who are able to assist in terms of risk management. I know in KZN, to be specific, provincial departments, they are currently using their HODs as the chairperson of risk management committees, which is not allowed, because in terms of King 4 report, it is clear that chairperson of risk management committee should be independent person. But it was a decision that was taken. And once now the report has just been discussed in the risk management committee, it is discussed in the audit committee, and after it's been discussed in the audit committee, it is discussed in the executive committee and the council in municipal context. And then here I've got a little question and answer session. I think I'll just take 2 questions for the interest of time. We all see the picture there. Can we see the picture? What went wrong on that picture? 2 hands? Or 1 hand, because we've got 5 pictures. What do we see? Okay, I see a hand at the back.
Greetings once again. My name is Sepeso from Greater Coxer Municipality. What happened there is that the calf fell in the water. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. The second one, there's a hand that side.
Sanbon, Kamusindi Swamachola, Mpume duty. What happened there is the construction of the road is not proper. There is no, there is no blockage, or there is no protection of the cars when on the construction. So, and it seems like the bridge is kind of collapsing, so there is no proper construction happening there. Thank you.
All right. Okay, no, okay, I'll take. All right, okay, thank you, colleagues. Okay, maybe I should have said that in terms of risk management context, but thank you for those responses. But we see here the owners of the truck and the car are just standing there next to the car and then thinking that we will eventually get this car out. So now this is the management. This is your senior management and your management going to a strategic planning section where they're going to strategize in terms of, in 2024, this is what we want to achieve. And they're arrogant enough to say, I don't need this management. I will do this on my own. I'll go on the strat plan. I will say that this is what I want. I'm not involving risk management. So in the second picture, what do we see? You know, the truck doesn't have the capacity to actually take out the vehicle. So the management know what they want to do, but now they were unable. You know, they did not take into consideration what could be the risks of them using the small vehicle. I want you now to see the next picture. I need another 2 hands. Then what is it that you see now in this picture? What is it that now the management has done? What strategies did they come with? Yes, there's 1 hand at the back.
Good day, everyone. My name is Anyusom Sipa from Greater Coxer Municipality. Now what I'm seeing in the picture is that the management didn't use the risk management tool And then that thing caused them to not noticing that the truck that they were using, firstly, it doesn't have the enough capacity to pull the car. So that's why they came with the bigger truck.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, the other hand.
I don't know if I'm going to be right, but since they saw Wuti, the first vehicle had an issue with maintaining the weight of the car that they had to rescue or respond to as it fell on the river, they actually provided a proper resource or a proper vehicle to actually help with a rescuing of the car. Thank you.
No, okay, that's correct. What now they've done is that they've seen that now they are in trouble. They are starting to get findings from internal audit. They are starting to have negative audit reports from the AG. And now they say, hey, risk management, can you please come sit with us? Let us do this thing of risk assessment so that we can identify our risks and we are prepared for the future. I want you to see in the next picture okay, fine. Here, they're still trying to pull out and it's not coming out. Okay, I think I missed one slide. But basically here, what happens? Risk management will also fall with the management. Remember when I said in the beginning that you first set your strategy and you identify your risk, then you allocate budget. So now you are calling me in December. AG has issued out your final audit report. You've been audited by internal auditors. And now you say risk management, let us sit down and do the risk assessment. Remember that now your budget has already been committed. You are going towards your adjustment budget, which is chances are you are going to cut, you are not going to get more budget. So now we are going to identify the risks. And there's nothing that we will just be aware of them to know that for the following financial year, now we'll start planning the proper way. So now if you call risk management after all other municipal processes, that means you are also setting risk management for failure because we're supposed to involve them in the beginning because risk management is proactive in nature. So now you want them to be reactive. You are calling them at the end. Then at the end of the day, the auditors will be blaming risk management and say, no, but in this organization, our risk management is not effective. Where else is the management that did not involve risk management? So these are the policies. These are the policies and strategies that are used for risk management. The risk management policy, strategy, risk management implementation plan, risk committee charter, a risk appetite and tolerance statement. These are the risk registers that you will get in an organization, but other organizations would have more. But these are the most popular risk registers, which is a strategic risk that has identified all risks that have an impact towards the strategic objectives. Then the operational risks, which have an impact on our day-to-day operations in terms of your finance department, your technical services department. So that's where you'll find the risk, operational risks. Fraud risk register, that's where you identify all the things that were said by Mr. Kuzwayo. You must make sure that in your municipality you have identified them in terms of fraud risk register and put actions that what you will do if it occurs in your municipality. Occupational health and safety risk register, the ICT risk register, and then the project risk register and the business continuity management risk register. The business continuity risk register, this is the risk register, has all the risks that have a low likelihood and catastrophic impact. You would know that I said during the risk assessment, you assess that, okay, how often would this occur? And then if it occurs, what could be the impact? You know, it would have an impact on the continuity of the organization. So the COVID risk register mainly was under this risk profile, which is the business continuity profile. Okay, no, before I come here, here I will give 4 people. Okay, 3. I just want to check, I guess everyone who's in the room is eligible to vote. So now that on the 29th of May, we are facing the elections. So what would you expect to see on the South African risk profile? Remember, we said that risk is a threat to the objectives. So now we are not only looking at our municipalities, but we are looking at South Africa as a whole. That looking at South Africa, how it is now, the results of these elections, where will they put us, or what will happen during the elections? Remember that we are not only focusing on now, but even on the impact after the elections. So let me take 4 hands. Okay, can I,
There's one here. Hi. Thanks, ma'am. No, my observation, or what I think is going to happen, I think one, there will be a lot of systems manipulation, because it's power change. The whole setup is changing now. We're going for the coalition, and obviously the governing party will want to hold power, and the other guys are taking heart because of the aim of coalition. So there will be a lot of manipulation. Two, afterwards, I think there will be a lot of sabotage, and there will be a lot of delays in terms of of service delivery implementations, because Ukajeni may want to sabotage me, and I may want to sabotage him. I want to prove that he's not capable. So there will be a lot of chaos, and yeah, God forbid, but yeah, no, let me just put it, let me just stop there.
okay, thank you. If any of the colleagues have their hands up for the same answer, I think now you can just summarize it, that whatever that he has explained, what is it called? When that happens, what is it happening? We have seen it in local government, it's happening. We have seen it after local government elections. So he has explained it. Now I want you to summarize it in one word, that what is it that we're expecting to see after elections? If you're going to explain the same thing, then a very simple word, colleagues. Okay, yes.
I think we are going to have an unrest protest after elections.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. Can any other answer? Okay, yes, the colleague that side.
I think there will be a lot of looting and instability because of collusion. When there is collusion, remember, when there is collusion, there is two parties fighting for power. So when there is two parties for power, there won't be any effective leadership.
Okay.
Yes.
No, he has covered, because we'll be expecting the risk of political instability. Because we will be seeing a lot of coalition government. We see now we are suffering with service delivery in terms of local government. So, yeah. Any other risks? The political instability has been covered. Which other risk are we expecting? You can even look at international risks before I give it away. Yes. Yes.
Someone else.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sanbona Igama Unowanda Zuma again from DET. One risk that I think is is the misuse of public funds for campaigning. So I think that political parties are misusing public funds to push their own campaigns. So that's one risk.
Okay. Yes.
Okay,
And then there's one hand, that's the last hand.
Temiko Simkize from Abasa. I think after elections, we might see maybe a breakdown in municipality operations, because the introduction of coalition governments, right, might incite people having different values and different things to prioritize in municipalities. And because of that, there might not be any proper work being done, the work that's supposed to be done, because of a difference of opinion or things like that.
Okay, the last question. The last answer.
Good day, Tabiso from Umzwabantu. The other risk, I think it's our currency, the economy. That's the risk that could affect our economy after the elections.
Yeah. No, thank you. There was the other one that I was looking for. Any other The last one. Okay, you have something different from the, okay. I do that.
Okay, Tutuzi Ntshangase from Amajuba. I think there is a risk of losing investment with the uncertainty that happening, like the political instability, probably the investors, especially foreign investments, that might be reluctant to invest in South Africa.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think the colleagues have covered, because I wanted us to also look at international in terms of geopolitics. It could have impact on our economy, as you have indicated. So I think you have covered me. And then the last question, in terms of local government now, what is it that you'd expect to see on the strategic risk registers of local government? Remember yesterday, I don't remember, but one of the speakers did outline what is the core mandate of local government. So the strategic risk now will identify it using the core mandate that we've got a mandate to deliver services to the people. So what is it that could go wrong? Okay.
Is the question, what is it that could go wrong?
Risk, identify the risk.
Oh, okay. There could be a deficit in decrease in service delivery. Yeah.
Okay, no, thank you. I think, yes, she has covered it, that we won't be able to deliver the services to the people. So now, when we have looked at it in terms of South Africa, there's an institute that is called the Institute of Risk Management, where all risk practitioners are registered under. So each year, they issue out questionnaires to identify the top 10 risks that are at threat in South Africa. So they also identify them using the World Economic Forum report. So the World Economic Forum report has all the risks at national level. So now, in terms of the Institute of Risk Management in South Africa, the first risk that was identified was the failed state. That South Africa is a failed state. Remember, for South Africa to be a failed state, it's the failing of local government. Because if local government is unable to deliver the services to the people, it therefore says that South Africa is a failed state. So as we have mentioned, that you won't be able to get the services from the people. So the other risk that was identified is the national grid failure, which relates to the load shedding that we have been crying about every day. So it was also identified as part of the risk. And proliferating of economic activities, you have identified that one. And then the economic collapse, which is due to fraud and corruption, it's collapsing our economy. And in terms of the large-scale digital disruption of digital enabling services, then impact on climate change and climate action failure, collapse of social services, social security systems. You have spoken about looting, that we can expect that risk to materialize again after elections, increasing unemployment and livelihood crisis, the geopolitical instability and the political stability, the systematic failure of public infrastructure. So these were the top risks that were identified for South Africa in the IMSA report. In conclusion, I want to quote from Albert Einstein, who says, "If I had 1 hour to save the world, I would spend 59 minutes defining the problem, which is to sit down and do a proper risk assessment, and 1 minute finding the solution." Thank you.